NZTA and the police in many parts of the country, and you know where those parts are, where there is snow and ice or heavy rain, really are asking you to take care on the roads. The conditions are foul in some places. I think they're going to get worse in Wellington and the centre of the country tomorrow. The big chill is certainly moving north. Hail and heavy rain is now falling in parts of the North Island after a wintry blast closed roads and stranded travellers in the lower South Island and inland Canterbury today. Inter-island ferries have been cancelled. Shortly we'll find out what the voyage was like for those brave enough to face a Cook Strait crossing when they were still going earlier today. But first, our reporter Rachel Graham on today's weather.
The snow started falling in the North Canterbury town of Oxford yesterday afternoon and continued all night. Kim Moore from Cruisy Days Diner says today has been very cold and the snow flurries aren't keeping people at home.
Surprisingly enough, there are people out and about, and we've already had bookings all morning for the diner, so we've got people coming up from town to see the snow and to come to our diner. So, yeah, we've already had people outside having snowball fights, so good fun.
In Canterbury, Porter's Pass remains closed, which also means that access onto Arthur's Pass is also closed. But NZTA says it may open to those with chains. State Highway 93 from Mataura to Clinton is shut as well. Lindis and Burke's Pass are open to those carrying chains. Those roads were closed yesterday afternoon, leaving Fairlie in the Mackenzie district completely cut off. Tracy Harper from Aorangi Motels says that left lots of people who had planned to head on to Wanaka or Tekapo with nowhere to go.
I turned away probably about 15 cars. The other motels around here as well were the same deal. They had so many people driving in just looking for accommodation and big groups, which is really hard being ski season and holidays. You don't have many rooms available, so we just did what we could, and most of Fairlie was full last night, I think.
In Dunedin, the snow and ice closed the main highway heading north out of Dunedin for a time, and the southern motorway into Dunedin was hugely backed up with cars at a standstill, some abandoned after failing to get up the hills in the icy conditions. Marianne Maslin says conditions in Dunedin were pretty treacherous this morning, but by midday it had turned into sludge.
There's been snow, there's been sleet, there's been hail, there's been rain, and one of everything really. It would have been probably a lot less worry about the traffic if people had driven to the conditions, because I've seen people doing, sort of burnouts and just ridiculous driving this morning.
At the Cust Hotel in North Canterbury, Thomas Dick has had a busy day looking after people who weren't able to make it into Christchurch due to the snow-covered roads.
The conditions are pretty drastic at the moment. We've got at least 6 inches of snow lying on the ground, and it's snowing quite heavily once again, so it's going to be a kind of treacherous night. It started early morning, went off round about 6 o'clock and then came back on again, and it's been snowing on and off ever since.
Mr Dick says his main concern is that the snow may become so heavy it brings down the power lines. But he says he'll keep his fingers crossed that doesn't happen and that the beer stays cold and the bar stays warm. The Met Service says after the snow there will be some heavy frosts and icy mornings for the lower South Island. But the worst of the weather is now making its way towards the lower North Island. In Christchurch for Checkpoint, Rachel Graham.